I mentioned this earlier. We're gonna flip flop here. Usually we do Q&A in the beginning, and then we do the main topic. The second half. Monte is the content guy, so we're gonna talk about that today. He's gonna start, and then we'll do Q&A at the end. Judy did ask if we could talk about lead feeder, so I definitely want to hit that in the second half. So Monte, welcome. Oh, just real quick, 2 rules: no sales yourself promo and have fun. Those are our two rules. So Monte, you have the floor, and why don't you blow our minds? No, no pressure.
No pressure. Well, I really intended this mostly to be an open discussion, if you would, about what everybody's seeing on LinkedIn. So 2 weeks ago, 2 Thursdays ago, if you would, very much noticed corporate page views dropped straight into the toilet.
Like below the toilet, almost like downstairs.
Yeah, it was like the dirty grime, like on the floor that you have to get down on your hands and knees and clean with Clorox wipes.
In the stuff that's leaking on the roof of my car from the bedroom upstairs. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's just New York.
Exactly. Yeah. Dropped down to non-existent. And that was across all of our accounts. It wasn't isolated to a specific style of post. It wasn't isolated to a time that was posted, comments, nothing. It was just across the board, down in the gutter. The same time, on personal posts, I post every day, same time, 7:30 in the morning. And I know not everybody here, posts every day and stuff, but I'd really love to hear what you've been experiencing on LinkedIn. It was extremely sporadic, so it dropped down to nothing. Engagement was still fairly consistent. I noticed that it didn't affect my engagement, and I'm not in pods or anything like that. Everything I'm doing is organic. So, but then I noticed last week that I would have what I would call like a slow burn effect on my posts. So usually I could set my clock that by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my post would be done. So I posted 7:30 in the morning Central Standard Time. I recommend that everybody posts between 7 to 8 o'clock in whatever time zone they're in, because that tends to be when most people are on LinkedIn and engaging. But it was, I'd get the comments, but the views would just trickle in. Usually I'd have, 3,000-4,000 views within an hour of posting, and I was only getting 200, 300 views. So I have other groups that I talk to find out if they're experiencing the same things. Everybody's views have been in the toilet. But then all of a sudden I would have my view count would just slowly begin to rise. And I had posts last week reach 40,000 views and 50,000 views over a period of about 3 to 4 days. One that's still going, that I haven't had that happen since early 2019 with a post. So anytime something like this happens, where it seems like across the board there's major anomalies on the platform, it typically means they're making pretty significant updates with the platform. That could be algorithm. They could be testing a lot of algorithm stuff that they're trying to implement, but it's usually tied to either something they're adding to the platform, something they're removing from the platform, or an algorithm update. So first part of it is to see what you guys who are posting, if you've seen anything, has it been fairly consistent for you, or have you noticed wild changes with your post views and engagement?
And the slow burn, Monte, that's just for the personal, not for company.
Just for the personal.
Yep. It's like they're different.
They are different. Company page views as of today still are non-existent.
All right. Who else does posting in here? Dimitri, Mary, Christina.
What have you guys seen?
Yeah, what have you seen?
What I have seen is indeed for the company, it went to 0,
Mhm.
and it's still there. It's just sitting, and it did hit us hard because we were promoting a special event. So
Yep.
and even though I posted it as well, so I shared it, even that one got substantially less views than normal.
Yes.
And so it's beyond unpleasant. As for the personal posts, I don't post that often, but the number of views went to half or below half. Actually, in the beginning, it was below half. Now it's about half of the normal views.
Mhm.
Christina, what's
Yeah.
the engage on the personal post? Sorry, Monty. But
Oh,
is
go
the
ahead.
engagement been
engagement-
comparable or just the?
The engagement to some degree, but not that substantial. Now,
Okay.
mind you, I don't know. I'm not using the creator mode. I tried it, and the engagement went below anything. So
Yes.
I turned it off. I was thinking, and maybe you tried it. I mean, maybe now those who have the creator mode on get more views. Maybe they're trying to promote that. Is that?
Yeah, there's a good possibility that they're adjusting the algorithm for creator mode. So I have had, when creator mode came out and they gave it to me, I turned it on, same as you. My engagement actually dropped. My followers, just, of what I was putting on from a follower account, and I had my button set to follow to begin with. And that's kind of one of the primary things with creator mode, is it changes your button from connect to follow.
Yep.
So that, I was not getting the follower count that I was before, so I turned it off, messed around with it, some things came back. I turned it on again just to see if that was the case. Again, it dropped. I would say about 3 weeks ago, I turned it back on, and I made one change. And that was when I posted something that started to get traction, I put it in my featured section. And that has been, that has proven to show some results. Now, I don't have conclusive evidence of that, because I'm not, I'm just kind of in the middle of testing that and seeing how it will work. But if I have a post that starts to get high engagement like today, I will take my post and I will put it in my featured section. And I'm wondering if that is starting to extend the life of the post a little bit. I'm also now back to putting followers on like I used to. So they may have made some algorithm updates. If you are in creator mode, that's a good possibility. Doesn't change business accounts though. My theory with the business accounts is that they are going to try and push boosting as much as possible. If I can get 20 to 50,000 impressions organically, there's no reason for me to boost it. So if they knock it back, now I will say that Isaac and I tested yesterday boosting a post. It really hasn't moved the mark all that much. We have 2,523 impressions now, which, Isaac, do you remember what we started with when we did the boost?
I just looked this morning. It was like 700 organic, 2,300 from paid.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they are going to restrict business page content like that, and they're going to force you to boost it to get any kind of impressions, what it just means is we're going to have to change our strategy to try and not only get it in front of the right people, But it also doesn't mean that you shouldn't necessarily post to your company page if you have one and you work one, because if you have sales teams that are using LinkedIn for, prospecting and closing deals and stuff, you definitely want to have as much material out there as you possibly can to not only create your brand influence, but your trust, expertise, and authority for the business people.
And just to kind of clarify one thing that I was not aware of until like yesterday, when someone shares a company page post and their personal, because now it's turned into they've personally done a post, the views that post gets does not get attributed to your total company page views.
No.
That was that was shocking to me.
Yeah, I shared the our post from yesterday that we boosted over to my personal profile, had about 4,000 views. None of that transfers over to your business page.
Yep. So the company page post was like a couple hundred views, and Monte's share of that same one had like 4,000 views. It's crazy.
Is there any downside or benefit to posting whatever it is on the personal profile and then grabbing the link and writing maybe a short sentence and putting that on the company page? And does it matter, like, if you're doing it at the same time, or do you wait? Because then all traffic goes back to the personal profile, which is really where the main visibility is. So is there any thoughts on that? Has anyone tried that, as opposed to natively posting on company page?
So you're saying reversing the process where you share from your personal profile over to the company page?
Yeah.
I have not done that. I don't know. I would imagine it's going to treat it mostly just like a company post, but it'd be an interesting thing to test for sure.
Interesting test, especially if you're getting that kind of visibility. I mean, I'm still dealing with small change, in terms of the numbers. But I have noticed on one page that I'm running that the visibility has gone way up, the engagement's gone up, and it's really taken off lately. But I did shut off creator mode on the principals profiles.
Yeah. Now my engagement has gone up fairly, not significantly. I mean, I've seen an improvement in engagement with content over the past week as well. And again, it's the interesting thing about it now is that I have built up a group of people that will come and comment every day just because we follow each other and we comment on each other's posts. It's not a pod, but they show up, they see my content, they want to comment on it. I have probably 70% of my engagement now are from people that I haven't ever seen. So I think that's another interesting aspect of it. I saw 3 things that I don't know if they're 100% true, but they may be coming to the platform. The first is I had heard that for creators, like if you are in creator mode and you're designated as a creator, so to speak, you can sign up and start getting paid for your views.
Really?
Yep. I just heard that. Now,
this is a new function, isn't it? A new option?
it will be. It's not out there yet. It hasn't been.
In October,
This is just.
I thought they were writing that it's gonna be released in October.
It's a good possibility.
Wow, I have never heard that before.
No,
I've seen that on Twitter. I have seen it on Twitter, but I wish LinkedIn would just stay in their own lane and stop copying other platforms. Because now stories is sunsetting, and it's just really annoying.
Yes, that was the second thing. They're doing away with stories, but they're going to turn that into a different platform.
Video.
So yes. So I think that will actually be a better change than what stories was. Because to me, to your point, Judy, that was just hey, we're going to implement this just because that's everywhere else. So
just so you know, I just started playing with stories like 10 days ago. So their timing is like Right on.
I saw you.
So did I, Judy. Yeah, that's why they get rid of it.
Oh, it's like, okay, I couldn't figure it out anyway, because I kept posting things and didn't realize, oh crap, I didn't mean to post that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do.
I knew that was doomed from the beginning. As soon
Oh,
as they
yeah.
announced it, I was like, no, there's no way in hell that's going to fly.
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
wannabe. I do have a question, Monte. On the engagement that you're getting, are you taking that a step further and looking at the personas of those people? And if you are connected to them and you haven't engaged in a while, are you using that as an opportunity to then direct message them and say, hey, I'm glad you like that post, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then for the ones you aren't connected with that meet that persona of you know,
Mhm.
whatever you're targeting, invite them to connect. So have you been like
Yes.
diving that further in? How do you manage that? How do you extract that from those posts?
Yeah. So when when I look at my post, you can scroll over the name of the person and it'll tell you whether you're connected or not. And if based on their based on their comment, then I do go out and take a look at their profile. If they're active on the platform, lots of times I will connect with them. But I typically don't do that until I see somebody engage with me somewhat consistently. It doesn't have to be every day, but if they're showing up, a couple times a week, so on and so forth, I will engage, I will connect with that person. I will also bookmark their post page and try and get out there and engage with them as much as I can too. So
I thought relevance and dwell plays a factor. So the relevance is factored in by the direct messaging, by the content engagement.
Mhm.
So if they're commenting, then triggers a direct message and then they accept and you go back and forth, that creates a higher relevance, which means they're more likely to see your stuff.
It is.
Right?
But in the past, now the other thing I was going to say is that the feed is totally different for me today, and I wanted to find out from you guys. But typically in terms of engaging with people, I will. My strategy is I'll get on the platform an hour before I post. I will engage with multiple people that I've never engaged with before. I will actually go out and try and find people to engage with. Then I will engage with people who have engaged my post that I've missed from the day before. I'll polish that off. Then I'll go out and I'll some regular people that I will engage with on a consistent basis. I will go find their content, engage with them, and then I will post. So I'm pretty active on the platform before I ever get a post out there. And then when I post, I don't tell anybody about it. Lots of times I will post to the hashtag feed that I'm focused on. So if today's post is going to be about entrepreneurship, I'll go post on the hashtag entrepreneur feed. And that typically seems to make a pretty big difference too.
So Monte,
Mhm.
you're a co-founder, you're running an agency. That's a lot of time you're putting in. First of all, can you sustain that?
Yeah, dude.
Is that what? Do it. How do you do it? No, but seriously, I mean, because when we're working with clients that are, of your level, they're running multi-million-dollar agencies, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
How the heck do you sustain that? I mean, seriously, because the time, I get jammed up in, and I'm doing it on mobile and I got typos and it's like, and then I get frustrated. So, because I'm one of these, I'm a one finger texter. Don't even get me started. My daughter can have multiple conversations thumbing me while she's looking at me. And I'm like, what the heck? And forget it. So how do you do it? And is it sustainable? And how would you advise like other leaders? Because I think it means a lot more coming from the leader, coming from the person, as opposed to delegating that. And then you don't have the voice.
Yeah, now I would say that I'm somewhat different from your typical, because, your typical leader in a company or something, because, my role and my responsibility in the company is marketing. And it's to help our clients with marketing and communication and stuff like that. So, what I will do is, for one, I'm on the platform usually by 6 a.m. So from 6 to 7, and that's just what I've chosen. It doesn't have to be what you have to do, but I will I will block out time for specific activities like what I just went through. And so each day I will do that. That's part of my quote unquote job that I will do. Engaging people is the same thing. But I set my goal basically to be done with all of my personal engagement and stuff for the most part by 9 o'clock. So I go from 6 to 9, and it's part of, it's part of what I've implemented into my own strategy to do. Then, I mean, that doesn't mean that people stop commenting on my content and stuff like that, but I get notifications with that. So I'll pop back in every couple hours and I'll respond to people that have been there. So the one thing about LinkedIn, if you're gonna be a content creator and you're going to if you're going to grow up a following and so on and so forth, you definitely got to put in the work to it, for sure. But it doesn't have to consume your entire day as well.
Well, you're also doing that for your clients. So they're, your
Yes.
other
Yes.
clients. So that's, 18 hours, and it is a 7-day-a-week platform.
Yep.
It's not a Monday through Friday platform. I've started posting things on Friday night and engaging on Sunday mornings and getting good feedback. But that's the thing is sustaining it, because that's so often I find the pitfall is you get hot and heavy and then they just burn out,
Right.
And it's really what is sustainable for business owners, if we were to advise them, because we're different, I think, in that sense that we're like really curious about LinkedIn, where others are like, yeah, I'm just looking for leads, I want to grow my business.
Totally. No, there's two aspects of it, right? From both LinkedIn, or from both content creation and then your lead development. But so has anybody else want to chime in there in terms of what they've seen in terms of your either view drops on your content or even on your profile, if you've noticed that your profile dropped too?
Saw Mary and Dimitri raising your hands earlier. What's your experience been so far?
So for post and personal profile, impressions went down about 40%. Interactions didn't really change. And I'm not posting with the corporate profile.
Okay. Have you seen any return yet?
Sorry, Monte, what was it?
Have you seen anything return yet? Has it rebounded at all yet?
No, not yet. Same level.
Okay.
What about Mary?
I'm showing a 35% drop in profile views and about 35 to 46% in the engagement from the last week. I was checking out my Shields analytics and I just noticed it. Obviously, we're on it all the time. So we're like, what the hell is going on? Not getting as much engagement as I normally do. And also like profile views dropping last week.
Yeah. Profile views drop like a rock, for sure.
I had a day where I had 0 profile views, which I found odd. 0.
That is odd. Maybe they're actually, maybe just the data's wrong.
There was one day where 829. I'm looking and had not 826 was good. 804 views, and then it dropped, and 830 it was low, and then yesterday it started increasing again.
Mary, can you correlate what you're doing to the views? What's the correlation there? Because when we see spikes, it's like, okay, so what triggered that?
Yeah, so on the one day that I didn't, on the day that my engagement, so Monday I had 2 posts, which I try not to do 2 posts on one day unless I really have to do it. And I'd forgotten I scheduled something and then I wrote something. And so on Monday I had 2 posts and the percentage, it went up 25% on my Are You a CEO post. For some reason, that was a video post. that got a little traction. What else did you want to know, Judy? Where'd you go?
I just wondered if, well, so that's a format thing. So it's video, and maybe it was a topic that resonated with your following.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. And here's the thing about it is, once we think we cracked the code, guess what?
There's no code. There's no freaking code. We all have to just realize that there's not a code.
Exactly.
And we just have to keep moving forward. And we are going to have great days, great weeks, great months. And then we're going to go through, this happens all the time on all platforms.
Well, it does,
there is
but
no code. There's no code to crack.
No, I think the good thing about having discussions like this, though, and then having ongoing discussions like this, is that while they don't give you the information, there is a lot of stuff that you can figure out if you have things that wind up to be consistent across, you know, multiple profiles, multiple accounts.
Agreed.
So, you know, whenever I see something like this, that is a big kind of mountain, and then all of a sudden it just drops off, that to me tells me that LinkedIn is doing something different. Okay, so and this also correlates over to what I'm seeing in my content views and stuff as well. So, you know, if I take a look at my search appearances, you know, prior to all this stuff happening, I was up to about 700 search appearances, and I'm now down into the 300s. Which, you know, shows that just cliff from the top of the mountain, if you would. So
This Beth just joined us. Beth, you do quite a bit of content, right? And you're saying you saw the same thing.
Yeah. You know, it's so hard to know if it's just you, if it's a thing, if it's the content itself.
Mhm.
And like somebody said, I try not to worry about it too much and just keep putting what I think is useful, good content out there. But, you know, there's this whole thing, I don't know if you've already talked about this, but where a lot of people changed their profile to creator view and then promptly saw a drop in.
Yeah, we did talk about that, yeah.
So, and I noticed that. So I don't know.
Could LinkedIn be listening? Hey, by the way, just a shout out, Kansas City folks. Beth and I are Port Washington gals. So, woohoo!
But I'm in Middle Island today.
Okay.
I'll be there tomorrow.
So
no
Beth,
one has-
have you tried turning it back on?
Turning creator
Creator.
off. I haven't
No.
turned it off. No, because I
You
feel
still
like,
have it on.
yeah, I do still have it on, because with them hiring all the creator managers, I feel like there's going to be interesting stuff in store for us. I just don't know what it is. So I'm going to wait until I see what they do, and then I'll go back if
Now,
it's
if
not
you haven't-
worthwhile.
if you haven't done this yet, give this a shot. Okay, when you post, if you see something that's getting higher level engagement and stuff like that, drop it into your features section that day. See if that makes a difference.
I'll try that. I'll let you know.
So Beth, did you left creator mode on? Did you see, like a couple Thursdays ago, your personal profile views go down and then kind of slowly pick back up? Did you see that kind of pattern?
Let's see. So I had a little bit of a spike the week of July 28th. I don't remember what that was, or if I did something specific. Then it went down. Then it went up a little. It's, you know, in a way, I'll see spikes when I do something like a LinkedIn Live, or if I publish a newsletter or something like that. But in a way, I'm just not looking at the data because it makes me crazy.
It does.
Yeah. The company
will say profile views, I was just taking a look at mine in terms of a huge tank from between the week of July 2nd to August 18th. It went down 74%.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's significant.
So I don't know if that's the same time frame you guys are talking about. I wasn't listening that closely, but that's a huge drop.
And was your activity the same as it always was, or was your activity
pretty much?
less?
Yeah, no, pretty much the same. I mean, I don't I usually only post about once or twice a week. And lately, actually, my views have been a little bit higher, but I've been doing more polls for that. But it's really kind of been up and down. Like right before that, I was only getting hundreds. I mean, and I would get a lot of comments and a lot of reactions, but still only have like 350 views. And just like, what is that? So I just sometimes feel like the LinkedIn algorithm doesn't like me. I will say another kind of key variable for me is that since I specialize with financial advisors and I'm connected to thousands of them, they're a huge chunk of my network. They're not very active. And so I know that that definitely penalizes me a lot. So I've been really working on trying to connect with people who are financial advisors, but it's just been, it's like some days it's really good and some days it's really bad. It's just been really hard for me to get something where I feel like consistently I can tell what's causing it. Although the polls the last few weeks that I've been doing have been doing well. So
I feel like the biggest casualty here are company page posts. They're still just so far down on the top. We're 90% decrease. 90% down.
Yep.
If any brand doing anything for brand awareness or for whatever, 90% down is just catastrophic.
Yeah.
So
actually, let me check. I do have one. It's a client I'm not working with, but it's a bigger, one of my bigger company clients, and they are active with their posting. I'm kind of curious. I'll have to take a look and see what's going on with their views to see. I'll take a quick look while we're talking and let you know if I see anything drastic there.
Monte, have you noticed any correlation with I mean, no, we've been trying to do some split testing here just to try and figure things out, but have we done anything with like hashtags at all, like changing the quantity, anything there?
No, nothing has been changing with hashtags at all. It's still 5 on your company page posts. Haven't noticed anything in terms of my personal posting, with hashtags, other than posting in the hashtag feed of whatever it is, whatever hashtag you're going for. But, I will say discussions like this are great for me and for content creators that are doing this all the time, because, to your point, Crystal, you can tend to feel like, well, it's just me. LinkedIn hates my guts, and they're punishing me for something I did or something I said, or and I remember back in 2019 at some point they did ghost me. I got ghosted for something. I can't remember what I did. I probably complained about them or something, but I got ghosted, and I had to actually reach out to them, and they actually came back to me and said, "Oh yeah, we saw there's a problem with your account. We fixed it." Wouldn't tell me what the problem was with my account or anything, but they fixed it. But it still took me it took me another 3 to 4 months back at that time to get things up and moving again. So it definitely whenever they start making changes and they tank views like this and they jack with profiles, it can be really frustrating, and thinking that, well, I must be all alone in this, so it must just be me. But this, all of this stuff is absolutely platform wide. There's nobody that's not being touched by it right now.
Yeah, I can tell, if you wanted to see I pulled up the kind of the trend line impressions for the past year for this client, which about a year ago was, I think, when we first started working. But so if we did September 2020, looks like they were around 9,000, then they dropped to 7,500, then they popped up to 15.5, then down to 6,500, 7,500, 11, 7,800, 7,400. This past May hit over 14,000, then down to 8,600 in June. And this month they're at 9,500 for the month. But I mean, their per post views are only in like 500 or less per. And I know back in the day, they used to be getting a lot more than that.
Mm.
So my
Oh.
thought on this whole thing of it's great to have, like, I've got 35,000 followers, and I'm going to tell you probably 3/4 of them are crap. Okay. Because they're weird bots that follow me. I always go back to focus on the quality. So am I getting the right people to engage? Am I engaging with those people? Because you're going to have far better success instead of trying to get, I mean, yes, views are great, visibility is great, and yeah. But if you're getting a lot of like these people in the Philippines, nothing wrong with that, but that's not my audience. But if they're all following me and they're all engaging, like some guy, I posted something and some guy, I don't even know who he is. He's like a third connection, strange profile with 35 connections, has been commenting on a post and responding to my comment. I'm like, who the heck is this? You know, and so to me, and is that boosting? I don't know, you know, but I go back to the vanity metrics and say, yeah, it feels good to say I've got all this. I've got 35,000 followers, but you know, so what? But I would say out of 1,000 of my connections, there's a lot of gold there. So let me focus on those things.
So I use quote unquote vanity metrics as a measure, not a Bible, if you would, you know, and so you can measure, you can use them as an effective tool to measure your performance over time, but nothing you're going to live and die by. You're absolutely right, Judy, that, you know, the entire quality of what you do on LinkedIn is represented in your actual connections. And so I will reject probably 90% of the people that want to connect with me. That's why I have the follow button on, because I'm very, very specific about who I connect with and why, and the conversations that I'm having with those people. So, yeah.
So, and Monte, you've got to leave here, I think, like just a minute. Do you want to share it, other than like, you know, us doing internal split testing, where would someone go if they want to like read and learn? Where do you go for resources? Yeah,
so some great,
other than here, obviously.
Well, that's one thing I would say is, you know, I have a group for LinkedIn testing that I'm just starting today. So anybody can jump into that they want to. Conversation with people that are on the platform a lot, what I've found has been the best way. But for quick updates and for, you know, news of coming features and attractions, if you would, there's a number of places that I go. The first place is with LinkedIn. So the engineering blog with LinkedIn typically provides a lot of great info with what they're doing on the platform. And LinkedIn actually has all kinds of different blogs. So they've got marketing blogs and, you know, and so on, and engagement blogs. So there's a bunch of different places. If you just Google, you know, LinkedIn blogs, you can start to find these things. Then some other platforms like social media, and I have to find that one that it's like the Social Media Examiner or something like that. Always has some great information. They seem to be kind of one of the first out of the gate with some information. I think they have some inside contacts with LinkedIn that help them with what's coming out. So
talk about Michael Stelzner's
yeah,
company.
I think if that's
that's
Social Media Lab.
Yeah, Social Media Lab is good.
Yeah, so if you guys have links to those to drop in the chat for everybody, that would be awesome.
Elika, I saw you had the hand raised emoji. You have a question?
Yeah. I just thought that the topic has went into another direction. So what I wanted to say, that what Judy mentioned in terms of quality, based on my experience, is really, really crucial. However, I can also confirm that I have seen the very same things in drop-off, the engagement and everything you mentioned. And I just curious whether you think the first 1 hour in terms of your activity after you posted is still relevant, because I roughly follow the very same method what Monte mentioned. So before I'm posting, I'm quite active. I'm commenting and posting on others' posts. After that, I put out my own content. And after that, I'm also, again, very active, not only just responding for the questions or comments people do on my posts, but I also go again for other content creators' posts and leave my comments there. So the first 1 hour for me is very busy. And I think because of the time zone differences, yes, of course, some people come back to me, to my post, you know, the other day, or when in Hungary, it is late night, there is in the morning in other countries. So that's why some people cannot really support my content in the first hour.
Yeah, to answer your question on that in terms of time after the post, very much so the algorithm has been, you have to get engagement to that post within the first 30 minutes. And engagement needs to be a mix of comments and likes for it to really start to take off, which is why pods came into being to begin with. So, I mean, pods came into being to get that immediate engagement and that immediate activity so that it would basically activate the algorithm and start pushing your posts out there. We'll have
There's
to see
now
how
lots of new software coming out for that too. I was just told about another one called B2Beep. I don't know.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. There's a number of websites now that you can get subscriptions to and stuff like that, and it's just, they're pods. They're just auto feed pods. Now, I personally think after my testing that it's going to be a negative to you if you do that. Because LinkedIn, the primary thing that the algorithm does is track patterns. So if you have a pattern of the same 15, 20 people every morning within 10 minutes showing up and posting on your profile, does that mean they're going to kill your views? No, but you may be held within a certain threshold, if you would, of whatever network that is that you're in. That's been kind of the running theory. I haven't been able to test that exclusively, but I do know that if you are able to build up your own organic following and reach in that, that's 100% the best way to go.
Yeah,
actually, I think it'll be easy for LinkedIn to identify pods because they know if you comment on something that wasn't organically put into your feed, if you clicked and went just straight to the post, then you got that link in some unnatural way. So.
And do you think there is any correlation between the number of your followers and how your content creator mode succeeds? Because I also turned it on, and after that I was really disappointed about losing, engagement, and then I turned it off. So now I'm off the mode, and I just have seen that people with 0 posts on their feeds, or having just little cats and dogs, and having 30 followers, literally 30 followers, are also turned it on. So I was just questioning what is the relevance of having a content creator mode if anybody can switch it on, while having low quality content, posting only once in a month, only memes and this kind of low quality content, and without having a significant number of followers. I mean, it's really against for the purpose they want to make it as a really attractive feature. Currently, I think it's not an attractive feature.
It's difficult for LinkedIn to control everybody that does that. Not every profile is going to get creator mode. You have to be fairly consistent with posting, I think, before you get it. But I think they're also going to be doing a lot more with it. I think there's more to come with creator mode. But I've got to bounce out too because of jumping onto Mary's podcast here. But continue the conversation. Thanks for all your guys' input today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Monte, for your time. Appreciate it.
I'd love to add about
you guys next week.
Hi, Monte.
Thanks, Monte.
I'd love to add about the creator mode. They're clearly putting money and time behind it because they've hired so many creator managers. What I'm curious about is it something that they're going to do for people organically, or is it an attempt to come up with some other paid product? So that creators can get seen more? Don't know, too soon to tell, but I think it's it's certainly worth trying it, experimenting with it. Right now, I see no value, so my profile looks different. So what? And it reduces the importance or value of the about section because it pushes it down. Who knows if people read it? So
it's all about
Yeah.
they're gonna lead it to money. You know it. Look at those quarterly reports. They're starting to realize, okay, if talent goes down and ad solutions, it's gonna, okay, let's, Facebook did it, and you saw what happened to the feed.
Yeah, but maybe that's why there are quite a lot of content creators with a huge number of followers who promote, different technical gadgets like trimmers and air conditioners and things like that.
There's a lot of crap.
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
Facebook
absolutely nonsense.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
But you can see the same thing in LinkedIn, and I just don't want to be a part of it. I already refused people to support their content because what they are doing, they are promoting these products.
They're cluttering up the feed. Yeah, don't even engage with that content. You know what you can do? Use the 3 dots and just say, I don't want to see this, don't want to see this, and stop.
Yeah.
Because I get weird stuff that shows up and it's like, and I gotta tell you, there's so much out there. We're getting hit with so much stuff. I can't even consume the stuff I want to consume.
Yeah.
I got it on my phone and then I go into my iPad and then I'm on my desktop. It's like, where was that thing? I've been using the save a lot, that save thing, but my save, I've got like 4,000 things saved in there now. It's just as bad as my bookmarks. It's like, I don't know.
it's like thinking you'll go back and watch a replay of a webinar or something that you missed. Never happens.
Yeah. I think one thing that's going on here too is since COVID, LinkedIn's been blown up and there's just a lot more activity. There's a lot more connections that are being made. And since you follow everyone you connect with, I think that they're probably needing to deal with, all right, I bet 5 years ago, the average amount of connections for your typical LinkedIn user was way less than it is now. And that means that now, 5 years later, everybody is following a lot more people. So if you're following 1,000 people, like what are you going to do? I think that's part of what's going on is everybody now is following so many more people. They're trying to figure out how to curate the content. And that's always been the case, but I think it's even more so now, because what do you do when you have 10,000 connections? You're following 10,000 people, like scale it up, 15,000 connections. You're following 15. How are they going to know who to display your content, whose content to display? You're following 15,000 people. I don't know.
That's where relevance and direct messaging and dwell time and all of those factors, I think that when you engage with people, then I tend to see certain people show up in my feed because we've been messaging or whatever. So yeah, it's the algorithm is a wild thing, but it's math. And that's why I got into marketing, was to avoid math. And so here we are.
Boo.
So here's a question. Has anyone else noticed different feeds on their mobile app versus their desktop?
All the time. My mobile is full. All it is polls.
Yeah, I get that a lot too. But every once in a while too, someone will show up in the mobile that I have not ever seen in my desktop. And it's a good surprise. But yes, I do see a lot more polls in the mobile app than I see in the desktop app.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Christina, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I have a question here. So the number of followers have increased. Okay, we all know that. I tried an experiment, and on a long weekend, I stayed on LinkedIn like a humongous number of hours and kept refreshing the feed. Funny thing is that a lot of the feed that came through were not from my followers. Had no relationship whatsoever with them. Not even liked by one of them. So, you'd think that it would be a priority to have in the feed, right, posts from your first connections, right? Or at least liked by the second connections or liked by the first connections. Well, I spent 3 days on that and it was really weird. I couldn't find any reason for why certain posts were showing there. I don't know if
Maybe-
you've ever experienced that or not. I was just curious.
I haven't. Maybe since you refreshed it a bunch, maybe they limit the number of impressions you see a post for, and maybe you exhausted all the recents and they went to hashtags. Just a total shot in the dark.
I don't know, possibly.
Hmm.
Well, it's another long weekend coming, so if I have time, I'll try it again.
Very cool. Well,
I
hey,
know something just now really quickly that I've never noticed before. Historically, if I would switch my feed to recent, it would go back to revert back to top. I just went back and it stayed recent. Has anybody ever
nice.
seen that?
No.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
nice.
Let's watch that, folks. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you use it a lot, definitely recent's the way to go. All right, so we're coming up on the hour. Any final life or death questions before we wrap it up? Judy, Hayes, I'm sorry we didn't get to lead feeder. Maybe we can bring that up next week.
Yeah, if anyone knows, actually, I have to have a conversation about it tomorrow with a client. So maybe we can converse in that message pod.